In the polished quiet of Willow Creek, Officer Mark Jenkins operated like royalty. To him, the badge wasn't just authority, it was dominion. For years, he moved unchecked, deciding who fit and who didn't in the idyllic, mostly white town. But that fragile order was disrupted the moment Evelyn Reed moved into 12 Maple Drive. She was everything Jenkins couldn't control: black, successful, and unapologetically alone. How'd she pay for that? He muttered from his cruiser, watching her unload boxes in tailored slacks and calm precision. Who let her in? Evelyn had left behind the politics of D.C. for serenity. Nearing 50, she relished the quiet. Her days free of the bureaucratic gridlock she managed as a high-level federal agent, a fact she didn't feel the need to advertise on a crisp autumn afternoon. Jenkins stepped out of his cruiser and approached her porch with a forced smile. "Afternoon," he said, adjusting his belt. "Officer Mark Jenkins. Just making my rounds." "Thank you," Evelyn replied coolly. "I'm Evelyn Reed." His eyes scanned her, then the home behind her. "You live here alone? Gotta be a good job to afford this." She sipped her tea slowly. "Government work?" she said simply. Jenkins gave a slow nod, the look in his eyes already turning. "Well, we value safety here. I personally keep an eye on things, make sure folks feel secure." Then came the pivot. Some neighbors show appreciation with a little contribution. A neighborhood watch fee, unofficial of course, keeps things extra safe. Evelyn's smile was polite but firm. "I trust the official services my taxes pay for, officer. I won't be contributing." His smirk faltered. "Suit yourself," he muttered. "Just don't say I didn't offer." 3 days later, he returned. No smiles this time. He parked his cruiser in her driveway, blocking the exit. "We need to talk," he barked, marching up to her as she tended her flowers. "I think we already have," Evelyn replied, setting down her watering can. "I gave you time to think." "That fee? It ain't optional if you want peace around here. I told you before. I won't be extorted." Jenkins took a step closer. Big words for someone so out of place. Evelyn didn't flinch. "You're on my property, threatening me. I'll ask you to leave, Officer Jenkins." His face darkened. "You're not welcome here. You think this house makes you untouchable? You're just another outsider trying to play queen in someone else's castle." Then his true self emerged. His voice rose. "Where'd you get the money? Huh? Sleeping with someone powerful? Dealing on the side? People like you don't just buy houses like this." "I don't have to explain myself to you," Evelyn said sharply. "Back off." But he didn't. Instead, he jabbed a finger toward her chest. "People who disrespect my authority usually regret it. Don't test me." Later that night, Evelyn sat at her kitchen island, notebook open, documenting everything: dates, words, his threats. She knew the law, but she also knew how it often failed women like her, especially when the abuser wore a badge. By Monday, things escalated that a patrol car circled her block 3 times an hour. A neighbor whispered that Jenkins had asked questions about her past. Then came the noise complaints, fabricated and conveniently timed to tarnish her record. Evelyn filed an internal report. Quietly, she knew exposure could backfire. But Jenkins was growing bolder. One evening, she returned from a grocery run to find her gate broken and her backyard light smashed. The camera she had installed the week prior had been ripped off the siding. Still, she refused to run. Wednesday afternoon, she walked to her mailbox when she felt it. Presents. She turned. Jenkins stood across the street, leaning on his cruiser, staring. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he called out. "I'm not afraid of you," Evelyn replied. His grin was wolfish. "You should be." That night, she called a friend, Deputy Director Mariana Flores from the DOJ. "It's getting worse," Evelyn admitted. "Do you want me to send someone?" Mariana asked. "Not yet. I want him exposed." But she didn't know how far he was willing to go. 2 days later, a squad car pulled up again. Not Jenkins, this time his partner. "We got an anonymous tip about suspicious activity," he said, eyes unsure. Evelyn stepped aside and let them in. They found nothing. But the message was clear. He wasn't backing down. Friday morning, Evelyn found her tires slashed. Saturday afternoon, as the sun began to dip and shadows lengthened across Maple Drive, Jenkins returned, alone again. But this time, there was no pretense. He stepped out, hand on his holster. Evelyn stood still, one hand behind her back, fingers wrapped around her phone, already recording. "You've got one last chance," he said, voice low and shaking with fury. "Pay up, or I swear, no one's going to help you when things go wrong." But Evelyn Reed wasn't just anyone. She smiled and said, her sharp words struck Jenkins's pride like a physical blow. He couldn't fathom a black woman daring to defy him, especially here, on a street he thought he controlled. Rage and creeping fear twisted inside him. Without thinking, he reached for his duty weapon. He didn't point it directly at her, but the glint of the black muzzle, hovering mere feet from her chest, sent a chilling message. "You think I won't do it?" Jenkins growled, his voice shaking along with the hand holding the gun. "I'm the law here. Either you pay the protection fee, or you'll live to regret it. Don't make me come back. Things happen to people who live alone." But Evelyn didn't flinch. Her FBI instincts, honed by decades of high-stakes operations, took over. She stayed calm, alert, and calculating. Physical confrontation wasn't the answer. She had other weapons. She met his eyes, steady and cold, then reached slowly into her coat pocket. Jenkins recoiled, raising the gun. "What are you doing?" he barked. "You pull anything, I swear." But Evelyn didn't draw a weapon. She calmly pulled out her phone, unlocked it, and dialed a contact labeled Chief Miller. Her gaze never wavered. The line rang once, then twice. "This is Deputy Director Evelyn Reed," she said, her tone firm. "I'm at 12 Maple Drive in Willow Creek. I have a situation with one of your officers, Mark Jenkins, badge 347. He's pointing a firearm at me and attempting to extort money in the form of a fake protection fee." Jenkins froze. Deputy Director Evelyn Reed? The name hit him like a sledgehammer. He'd seen in memos, news briefings, even in FBI security reports. His heart dropped. This wasn't just some woman. She was one of the most senior federal law enforcement officers in the country, and she'd just called his boss. The gun slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the stone path. His face went pale, knees buckling. The smugness drained from his eyes, replaced by pure terror. "Please, Deputy Director, I didn't mean it. It was a joke. A stupid, horrible joke." He fell to his knees. "Don't call the chief. Please. I have a family. I'll lose everything." Evelyn said nothing. She didn't hang up. She stood still, unmoved, as the sound of approaching sirens echoed through the quiet neighborhood. Within 5 minutes, 2 patrol cars and a black SUV pulled up. Chief Daniel Miller emerged, face grim. He took in the scene. Evelyn, calm and upright. Jenkins collapsed and shaking, the weapon on the ground. "Jenkins," Miller said sharply, "explain yourself." Jenkins mumbled something about stress and misunderstanding. Miller cut him off. "Save it. Turn in your weapon, badge, and radio. You're suspended, effective immediately." Jenkins obeyed, trembling as he handed over his gear. 2 officers escorted him away. Eyes downcast, Miller turned to Evelyn. "I'm so sorry. What happened is beyond unacceptable." Evelyn nodded. "Thank you for coming so quickly. I knew you'd do the right thing. I'll personally oversee the investigation," he promised. "He will be held accountable." The investigation was fast and thorough. Evelyn's report, combined with her federal rank and the phone record, left no doubt. Jenkins was fired within days. Chief Miller referred the case to the DA. Jenkins faced multiple charges: extortion under color of law, second-degree assault, terroristic threats, and official misconduct. The trial made headlines. The image of a white officer using his badge to threaten a black woman on her own porch was a spark in an already tense community. Evelyn testified calmly, focusing not on revenge, but accountability. Jenkins, hollow-eyed and defeated, blamed stress. The jury didn't buy it. They returned a unanimous guilty verdict, AKT sentencing. The judge condemned Jenkins's actions. "You wore the badge not to serve, but to intimidate. That ends here." He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Weeks later, Evelyn stood on her porch sipping tea. The street was quiet. The house, once shadowed by fear, now felt like home. Justice had been done, But she knew it came not just from truth, but from power. Her title had protected her. Had she been anyone else, just another black woman without rank, would anyone have believed her? That question haunted her more than Jenkins's threats. She sighed, letting the warm air settle around her. Real peace, she knew, wasn't just safety for violence. It was knowing that people like her, ordinary or powerful, deserved dignity without having to earn it through status. She hadn't chosen this fight, but she'd finish it. And when she returned to the FBI on Monday, she'd carry this not as a scar, but as fire.